Hello. My name is Jalen Haynes, and I just moved to Chicago. I kind of want to follow suit to some of my favorite creators and some of my favorite people who are going through different changes right now. Um, so I think of like Leandra Yomo, who just graduated law school. Um, what is it like? Fit and not fit and fresh, girl. Hold your horses. Fit and fun or something like that. She used to do med school stuff. So she actually just had a baby, finished med school a while ago, and is still like talking about her journey about learning. And so many others who have like vlogged their life through their careers. This is my first time being in a city for an extended amount of time. When I graduated high school, I went to Savannah College of Art and Design for one semester before coming back home because I realized like I don't want to be an animator. And whether that was true or not, it was definitely something that was going on in my head. So I spend all this money on animation. Um, when you can spend all your money at home or save all your money at home. So I finished out my first 2 years of my undergrad degree at home. I did one semester in a big city, and the rest of it was in my semi-rural, semi-suburban city in South Carolina. Oh, by the way, hi. Um, this is about how I got here. So yeah, I'm from Greer, South Carolina, which I'm from Greenville essentially. That line always changes because gerrymandering is real. I know they like to lie to you, but it's real. So I'm from Greer, South Carolina. It's kind of like a rural suburban area. Um, and I was really into a lot of things. Growing up. I did a lot of basketball. I was a really good basketball player for a really long time. Same thing, I was a national recognized violist. I was pretty cool. Uh, I did marching band. I did culture club. I did fashion design. I was really into fashion design when I started getting into drawing and writing, and I got really into writing for a really long time. Um, I was part of the creative magazine publishing, creative writing journal that we had every semester for school. I did a whole bunch of stuff. Girl, I did so much in high school. Um, all for like the idea that colleges wanted me to do all this shit just to make them look good, which to a degree is true, okay? But mostly because it was mostly things that I liked. Um, what happened next? So it was time for me to graduate. I applied to Clemson because my parents told me to. And then I applied for the Savannah College of Art and Design, which is the school that I really wanted to go to because I was getting into fashion design and animation. I wanted to do character design for a really long time. My goal was to have my own kids show on Nickelodeon by 30. I remember writing that down. Um, and I was just like really into to stuff like that. So I got accepted to SCAD. I actually got waitlisted for Clemson, which was crazy because I was crazy smart. And also, I had a legacy um, on both sides of my family. So me not getting immediately accepted into Clemson University was kind of crazy for my family, especially considering that my older sister, um, that's the only school she got into, and that's the only school she went to. So, um, Yeah, I went to SCAD, ended up going to SCAD. My mom was not happy about it, but she, pretended it was a good idea. My dad was ecstatic about it because he was like, finally, we have someone who's confident and bold enough to go and do something that's not like your typical business, whatever, whatever. Um, Mind you, my dad's an engineer who loves to draw, passed that down to me. My mom, a teacher, draws for fun sometimes, um, but she is very stickler for rules. So went to SCAD for a semester, had a really fun time, got really lost in school. Not lost as in great, I'm doing everything I can do and yada yada yada. But for the first time ever, I'm getting criticized openly and like publicly by everyone, not just by my professors, but by everyone. And that was a little bit crazy for me personally. I really had to come to terms with the idea of criticism. Um, and that was like mild criticism too, because a lot of the professors at SCAD, they're not like your typical universities, which we'll find out later in my story, that like to weed out people by being rude. They're actually very accepting and open, and also very willing to work with you to get you to stay and continue your studies, even if you're not as out of the gate talented as some other students. So like it's an art school, so of course, duh, they're gonna be weird about stuff like that. And then I think I was on the track for animation. If you go to an art school, your first semester is typically like, um, it's typically like a plethora of random things. And though you might go into art school saying, I want to do this thing, admin typically likes to not give you a major, at least during your first semester of school. So I was doing a drawing class, I was doing a drawing techniques class, I was doing she's very pretty. I was doing a design class, I was doing a communications class, and an art history class. And of all of those classes, my favorite was the art history class because our professor, who was also the director at the time, and I can never find his name, but he did write me a letter of recommendation when I transferred after this first semester. But this professor was really, really adamant about his work, but a little bit monotonous. And this is the first time ever in my life I've been able to um, look past a really boring person for a really interesting subject. Mostly because he was showing us ancient types of architecture. Um, I remember seeing the megaliths for the first time. And I'm not gonna lie, these are things I didn't see them in person, obviously. I'm sitting in a dark classroom in the basement of a 50, 60, 70-year old building in the middle of Savannah, Georgia. In the summer, I'm not going to be in the middle of England on a hill looking at the megaliths in person. But being able to see a lot of these like structures, ancient structures, um, was really interesting to me. I think a lot of these first types of ancient architecture really stuck to me, even to this day. Um, I want to see the megaliths. I want to see Katahayuk, and I want to see, which is the first planned out settlement ever created in Turkey. Um, and I want to see ancient Indo period servant quarters. I remember looking at those, and ancient buildings in Greece, of course, obviously. I remember looking at the different things and being really interested in all these different types of art. Um, when I left, around the time when it was about time for the end of the semester, and this is usually when you meet with your teachers individually, and you start telling them what you want to do and then developing plans on how to get you there. I remember this professor sitting me down and being like, "So, what do you plan on studying?" And I was like, "I really love animation. I have a passion for it, yada, yada, yada." And I remember him like, Jalen, you're always in the front of my class. Your hand is always raised. I know we have a great animation department and very competitive, and I know you and I've seen your work and I believe that you're very focused on your work and yada yada yada. But I can't help but to say your eyes actually glow when I show you these ancient architectural stuff. And I'm like, you know what? If this old white awkward old man is telling me like I see you're excited about this, I went for it. I said, fine, I'll change my major. I changed my major to architecture. I told my dad. My dad said, why are you still at SCAD if we're not doing animation? We brought you here specifically to do animation. At the end of the semester, I left SCAD to the dismay of my roommates and my friends and went to a local university, and then transferred to my parents' alma mater, Clemson. I finished my degree in 6 years because advisors suck and they'll have you take extra classes. I also was COVID girl. I was during the COVID generation. So as soon as I transferred to Clemson, we were on lockdown. So I had to get in an extra year, hence the 6 years. Um, but my last year was just studio, which was pretty nice. But yeah, I did a lot while I was at Clemson. My time at Greenville Tech School was whatever. But what I did at Clemson, I did a lot at Clemson. I participated in our NOMAS chapter. I participated in two exhibitions in 1 year, which is crazy. I mean, like planned materials, presented, um, had both out, I believe, at one point at the same time, which is crazy. And I also had to do a lot of defending for myself from partners to professors to admin. I've been up in everyone's face at Clemson. Everyone's face. Everyone has seen me to some degree. And whether they like me depends on what you did. Okay? It depends on what you did. But if I love you, you know I love you. Um, actually had some really good mentors. Met my first ever black professor. Shout out to Ray Huff. He actually was retiring the year that I had him. So, um, I like to joke that I'm the reason he retired. He was retiring before he even knew me, but and I also got a chance to really come in communion into community with black architects. There weren't very many in South Carolina. There's not very many who graduated from Clemson. Of the, I believe, 100, no, we had like 85, I think, 75 to 85 people who graduated. Five of them were black women. A six if you want to count someone who is half black, but we won't get into that. That's a different story. Um, but yeah, six black women, and I believe about eight black men, which is a big deal. That's a lot of black architects going into work. But you know, we're friends with all of them, and we do. They did what they did. We did what we did. We graduated. After graduation was tough. Um, I moved to Charleston. Now, My grandparents live in Ridgeville. My grandparents live in Ridgeville. Ridgeville is an hour out of the city. It's like country. People have big lots of land. Just it's whatever. I actually lived half a mile away from two cotton farms, both on either side. So that was interesting to see, going in and out of work every day. But yeah, we I moved to Charleston because I did a study abroad semester in Charleston, and that's where I met my first black professor. That's when I first was able to kind of become more in communion in community, I guess, with the other black architects graduating in my year. Shout outs to Mahogany, Amber, Ania, Kendall. Uh, they know they saved my life. They saved my life. But and it was a really good semester. It was a little bit troubling, a little bit hard, of course, whatever. But like at the end of the day, I wasn't. I felt safer than I had ever felt. I think up until that point, and then I came back after graduation, and I realized that the safety I had was not in the safety that I thought I felt in myself at that point was not based off of me. A lot of it was environmental. Um, and the environment that I was now in as a working professional um, was not safe. um, I think working as a black woman in a career that is scantily, not scantily clad, oh my god, that barely has black women in it. Let's say it barely has black women in it. Is a little bit concerning, understandably. I think I did not fully weigh the terms, and that's okay. Um, but that doesn't mean I didn't accept them. I understand. I thought I could work it to my advantage, and I realized there is also some backlash to it, especially if like you don't 100% know who you are yet, especially in the profession. I've had a lot of working experience, and I think going to this job, they expected me to be full ready to go, and I wasn't. And when I asked for help to get fully ready to go, they weren't able to give it. So I worked at a crummy job. The job was crummy. I didn't get work. I begged for work, and a lot of people go around, especially when you're interns, you have to like ask for work, because sometimes architects don't know that they need help or whatever, and things whatnot, whatever. Um, and it's good practice, of course, to if you're in an internship and you have time, ask before you go off and start shooting the shit. But I got to the point where I'd asked so many times over and over again, um, and I was seeing where this was going. Around January, I believe, of that year, of this year, 2024. I had some stuff happen with my car. I had some relationship issues happening. A lot of stuff was happening. And when I graduated, I had also received an acceptance from the school. And I had deferred it for a year, thinking I would work and, maybe I would decide to stay because I wasn't really ready to go back to school. But by January, I was very ready to go. I had a racialized incident happen at work, and by that time, I was just clocked out, done. I don't want a piece of your work. I don't want a piece of your thought process. I don't want any of this. And I believe that happened in like May, and by that time, I was just like, I'm leaving. It's okay. I don't care. Um, and I don't like this job. I was working with people who were 2, 3 times my age and just like didn't understand certain aspects. I mean, I was getting like bullied at work for not being like salacious enough, I guess. Um like I was being told, Jalen, you're young, you should be going out every night and yada yada yada. Like I used to come into work with a hangover and like still have to get my work in. Okay, but if I did that, y'all would be like, "Oh, Jalen's coming in with a hangover. What the fuck is wrong with her?" Like, does that make sense? No, it doesn't. She's like, I would be walking in. Yeah, you need to go out more. You need to like date more. I had people asking me like what kind of men I was interested in. By the way, who told you I was interested in men? Just kidding. Anyways, I was being asked like personal stuff. Um, they wanted to meet my family, which I have no business. I mean, like I don't have anything wrong with that. It's just my grandma has cancer. And yeah, my granddad also has cancer, but we didn't talk about that because that's what he's got going on. Both of my grandparents have cancer. The other half of my family lives 4 hours away. We had family day, I believe, the week or two before I left, and people were like, "Where's your grandma? Where's your dad? Where's your mom?" I was like, "I was expecting your grandma." I was like, "You mean the woman with cancer? You want her to be out here with your snotty ass kids and your dog that's about to run out in the road because he's uncontrollable and the community food where y'all don't be washing your hands and your kids be digging up in their butt and putting their hands into the baked beans? No. Huh? And my grandma doesn't even want to be around y'all. She don't know y'all. Like I get family culture and shit, but like I need professionals who are going to be my close to my age, single kind of, and like not ignorant. We merged at one point with a at the beginning of the year with a bigger firm, which finally brought in younger, fresher people, funner people, people who don't care about like the intimate parts of your personal life. You can know about my personal life. That's my thing. I don't care. Know about my personal life all you want. Just don't know like the intimate part. Don't be asking me about the intimate parts of my life. Oh, I thought that was my roommate. It might not be. Okay. Um, but yeah. So I said I was gonna go to Chicago. I was done. I was done with my job. I was done with these people. I love my grandma. I hate leaving my family like that. Um, but I was done. I'm sorry. Um, my first thought was that I need to go to a place that's more diverse. Um, when I first got into college at SCAD, I thought if I lived amongst more artists, I would feel more like an artist. I got there and I felt less like an artist because I was around a lot of very artistic people. Now I'm in the camp where I need to be around more people who get it. I can't continue being around people who don't. This is kind of like an ongoing feeling from like a whole bunch of other things, a lot of things. Politics, government, all sorts of shit. But I'm just not feeling it anymore. The South just isn't for me right now. Do I feel like in the next 5 years I'm going to want to move back? Actually, I do feel that way. I am very content here, which is the first time in my life I feel that type of way. It's like a new environment can be like both challenging and also very comforting. This feels kind of like suburban South Carolina in a way, in a weird way, but in a way. Do I have to get used to moving further and longer times? I don't have a car down here. I can't just get up and go now, but technically I can. I just have to plan for travel. You know, if I have an appointment at 4, I can't just get up at like 4:15 because it takes 15 minutes to get there. I probably should leave like an hour before the appointment, which to me is crazy. I'm used to just our appointment's 30 minutes away. It's at 4. I'll leave at 3:30, you know. It's the same thought, but it's like I have to actually move my body and not like a machine. If that makes sense. Um School starts tomorrow, which is really exciting. I'm more excited for school to start. I want school to start. I'm excited to continue my education, um, even if it means like living in a dorm as a 25-year-old woman, you know? But it is what it is. I'm quite content. I just wish I had more money. Um, I was very stupid with my money up until this point, but fuck it, we ball. Fuck it, we ball, we're here, you know. It's exciting, in my opinion. So, yeah. So, what does this mean? Oops, sorry. So, what does this mean? So, what does this mean moving forward? I would like to show more of my life on the internet, especially my studies, so that later on in my life, I can look back on it and say, damn, I was very brave for moving. Um, I'd like stuff like that. I would like um, to make my family proud. I have a picture of my family behind me or in front of the camera, but I'd like to make my family proud. And I want this to feel like a journal, not something that's like big and high production and big box office. I want it to feel like all of those like career vlogs, like I'm a college student, law student, doctoral student, day in the life things. But I want it to feel like me, kind of half-assed, half-baked, low production, and feels like very real. Um, so yeah, hi. I think I also want to start getting more into my writing, and more into my comics. I do comics sometimes. I've had these ideas for a comic for years, and I haven't gotten time to do it. Funny, I think school will give me the time to do it. I don't necessarily think so, but like, girl, it is what it is. Um, so yeah, come along with me as I have hard conversations, easy conversations, crazy conversations, hungry conversations. Cause girl, ooh, I think lunch is about over. Um, but let's get into it. All right then. I'm kidding. Bye.